This is the inside of the Coachman Laser 845. If I now move to the main control panel, you'll see it's currently displaying the time. It's letting us know that we are hooked up to mains electricity, and it's also letting us know that the onboard water tank is low. If I now press the power button, the 12 volt will come on. Here we have water pump on and off. We need the water pump on to be able to get water out of the taps and fill the boiler if it's been drained down. We then have the main isolator for the onboard lights. Beneath that we then have the awning light on and off, and then all other information is then given via scrolling. So we have condition of leisure battery, internal temperature, how much water is in the onboard tank, pump selection. So at the moment it's on external, so it's using the water directly from the aqua roll to the taps. We can flip it over to the then run the water from the internal tank if it's been filled. We then have fill that fresh water tank. The water pump needs to be on, and if I now hit enter, it will then commence filling the fresh water tank via the aqua roll or the hose, depending on what you are using. If I now press enter, I can turn it back off again. Next we have system settings. So if I now press enter, you'll see we have the display. So if I now press enter, we can go into it and we can change the contrast, how quickly before it goes into standby when you're not touching it, key beeps, temperature, so Celsius to Fahrenheit, notifications on and off, the firmware it's running, and then save and exit. If we now move across to the Aldi control panel, we turn this on and off just here. On initial startup, it will again let you know if you've got main supply connected and give you an internal temperature of the caravan. If I now press menu, it will bring up its basic functions. So the first one along the top here is the thermostat for the heating. Just literally plus or minus, pick whatever temperature you would like it to be inside the caravan. It will drop all the way down to 5 degrees for frost protection and go all the way up to 30 degrees. After that we then have hot water. So we have hot water on and hot water on boost. If you do perform the boost and the heating's running, it will turn the heating off as it needs to use that extra power to do it. Not such a massive necessity in this particular caravan as it is fitted with the Aldi Flow system. We then have power source. So at the moment, even though I've turned hot water on, it's not actually doing anything because we now need to tell it what power source we want to be using. So if we want to use main supply, just press here and we can run on 1 kilowatt, 2 kilowatts, or 3 kilowatts, so just dependent on the amperage of the site you're on. If you don't have main supply, you can run on gas, and if you have both power sources available to you, you can run in dual fuel mode. This one here is for the workshop, so you cannot access this. If I now press the settings menu, you'll see we have firstly 2 timers, night timer and a day timer. Turn it on and off just here. Select the temperature you would like it to be for that period of time, and then set when you would like the night timer to come on, whether it's for all days of the week or just individual, and when you would like it to go back off again. We can also highlight and tell the system that we don't want any hot water throughout that period. Very handy if you're wild camping to avoid wasting gas heating hot water when you're asleep. And we can also invert the backlight as well, so the screen will go to black, the writing will go to white. Next we have exactly the same again, but for the daytime. Prioritises what the system prioritises using in dual fuel mode. So at the moment it favours main supply over gas, so it will only use the gas as it's required. If you were on an extremely low amp site, you can flip it on its head, so it consume more gas, less electric. Brightness of the screen, etc. just here. This one's not used on this particular model. Obviously if you're going to be using timers, make sure you set the correct time and day of the week, etc. just here. Again, most of these are for the workshop, so you can't actually gain access to them. You can gain access to this one, which I'll show you in a moment. This one here is antimicrobial. You have to be using night mode as well for this to work. If you do use this, what will happen is during the night the boiler will come on, heat up rapidly and kill off any bacteria that may be in the system. Temperature offset for the thermostats. High altitude mode, so if you're using the caravan 1,000 meters above sea level, you can activate this to make the system run more effectively. Key beeps on and off. Instead of having multiple timers, you can have it so you just have one delayed start and stop to the system. Pump settings, just leave it set to thermal. That way the pump only runs as it's required for the heating system. Full factory reset. So if there's a problem with the control panel, you can reset it. External start, basically you need extra software added to the system if you want to control it via an app. Language, service, more for the workshop, but you can just press it and just see what everything is up to. Installed accessories. In here, the only one that's of any value to you is this one here, which is the load monitor. So if I now highlight that, and we now go back up, you'll see it's now active here. If you arrive on site and you know how many amps the site is, you can pick it on here. So say it's a 10 amp site. It then doesn't matter that I'm running 3 kilowatts here, it will control itself to avoid tripping. And because that's now an activated function, it appears here. And I can go straight back to it, raise it, lower it, or turn it back off again. If we now move to the seating area just here and we remove the cushions, okay, so in the bench seat box just here we have the Aldi boiler just here, and then we have the Aldi flow just here. Having the Aldi flow system basically allows you to have continuous hot water. This is basically a supplement hot water tank which is connected to the main boiler itself. Basically by increasing the surface area between the central heating and the hot water, the water can be heated as it flows through this system just here, which makes it basically mean that you don't need a large storage tank. To drain the boiler down for travel or winterization, we have 2 drain taps on this caravan. So we have the yellow tap just there, and we then have the other one just there. Just flap them both up to drop the water out of the system. I always suggest that if you're fully winterizing the caravan, that you also open up all the taps as well, so it then releases the airlocks and allows it to drain off much better. To refill the system, just flap them back over again. Either attach the hose or drop the submersible into the aqua roll, turn the water pump on, and it will then commence repriming the system. The taps will cough and splutter as they force the air out. Once they're flowing continuously on hot and cold, then shut them off and the system will fully reprime itself. Also in here we have some gas isolation taps just here. They're all in the on position, and quite frankly they can stay like that. I always say if you smell gas, go to the source and turn the gas bottle off. But we have cooker, heating and hot water, and fridge just here. We then have both control boards for the power touch motor mover. The top of the consumer unit just here, so we have the battery charger just here, so just make sure that nothing is obstructing this so it can keep itself cool. If we now flap down, we have the front of the consumer unit. So we have the individual MCBs just here, all labelled up. We then have the main RCD and test button just here. So if something's not working on main supply, just check to see whether or not you've tripped here. We also have the 12 volt fuses beneath, and again labelled up. So if anything is not working on 12 volt, just check to see if you've blown a fuse. Storage underneath this part, and then tucked down here we just have the PIR sensor for the alarm. Radio just here, on and off on the button that says SRC. CD player just here, eject just here. Search for tracks or change radio stations just on the arrows just here. Easy graphic equalizer just there, and if you need to get into its systems menu, just press the volume button in and then just navigate just here, and then we have a back button just underneath. The aerial for the television and for the radio is just located here. So we have the amplifier for it just here, on and off on the top. Control the boost just here. The master's just here. Undo the collar to lower it and raise it. Get it into the position that you require and then lock it into place. The green window represents the back of the aerial, and the H stands for horizontal, so currently it's sitting like this. We can flip it to vertical just by turning the tail just here. Do make sure that the aerial is down for travel. Also in here we just have a switch just here, and that's for the courtesy light on this side of the caravan. If we now just open up here, you'll see we have storage rack, but what we also have is a false bottom just here, and if I remove that, you'll see that we have the location of the freshwater tank just here, and then tucked at the back there we have the pressure switch. And we also have the solenoid for the whale filling system. So this is what controls the water into the van. To drain the freshwater tank down, just pull here and it will then commence draining the system down. The hob, so we have the electric hot plate just here that will work on main supply, operates just here, and then we have the 3 gas burners, so just push in, twist and push the igniter. Grill beneath, and again just push in, twist and push the igniter. And then the oven. Beneath the ovens we have storage, but you'll also find a plug plugged in, which is for the electric hot plate. Microwave above that. Do make sure that the contents are removed for travel. Again, this will work when we're hooked up to mains. We have quick start, stop just there, power, wait time, defrost, etc. And then just turn just here. Above my head we have the Omnivent fan. To operate, firstly wind the roof vent up, and then we have middle button to turn it on, and then we have arrows out for extraction and arrows in for cooling, and it's variable fan speed just by pressing. Do make sure that all roof vents are down for travel. Dometic fridge just here, on and off on the centre just by holding it. This is an automatic fridge, so as long as you are on automatic, it will find the best power source it can for you. So because we're currently hooked up to main supply, it's put us onto mains with a little picture of the 2-pin plug. If I now went outside and pulled the mains lead out, it would then automatically attempt to fire itself up onto gas. And as soon as we hitch up to a tow vehicle and start the engine, it will then automatically go over to 12 volt maintain to keep itself cold whilst on the move. If we want to change anything, just push the button in. And then, as you can see, as I rotate, it goes over all the different bits. So if we start here and we now push again, we can alter the temperature. We can next take it out of auto if we want to. Click on it. So I can manually put it onto 12 volt maintain, manually put it onto gas, or manually put it on to main supply. But auto is the easiest one to have it on. And then lastly, we have settings. So within that we have brightness of the screen, whether or not we have warnings on and off. It's best to leave it on, that way it will let you know if it loses main supply or anything like that, or there's a problem with it lighting on gas. Fan on and off, anti-condensation jacket on and off, and then enter back out again. We then have the freezer and fridge, and on this particular model the doors can open from either side. Freestanding table just here. Two USB charge points and a main socket just here. And then we have TV connection points just here, and then the cables can then run up through here and then freestand the television just there. Shower just here. Do make sure that the shower screen is closed for travel. Toilet just here, so the bowl swivels all about. Open to the cassette just here. Push to flush on the top. Level indicator just here will illuminate to let you know when the cassette needs emptying. And then close the cassette again just here. If this has been left open and you try to remove the cassette from the outside, it will not come out. So if you do feel resistance, just make sure nobody's left it open. Basin just here. Then we have the heated towel rail. Fixed bed at the rear on gas struts. So we then have plenty of storage beneath it, because a motor mover has been added. The spare wheel has been relocated underneath the bed. Again, TV bracket just mounted here. Aldi header tank just located here within the wardrobe. Just make sure that the fluid level is between the minimum and the maximum. Always take your reading once the system is up to temperature, as it will expand in the tank. You can top it up if required by unscrewing the cap just up here, but if you do this, do make sure that you are using the correct pink Aldi top-up solution. The front bed is very easy to make. Just slightly lift up and pull out, then slide this section across, and then it's just a matter of dropping in the two back cushions, and then as you can see, it makes a nice size double bed. Phone charge point just here for compatible phones. Storage. And then we have plug sockets and light switches